Reading Scarlet, Bishop. I'm seeing something that might be explaining why there's been so much buffering as of late. But doesn't explain the slightest. We'll fix it. Greetings, SCP 100. Glad you can make it. And I thinking we haven't really seen the more relevant papers yet, but a topic for a later time, perhaps. I don't think we have any reason to believe Russia was truly concerned. Especially not the Russia of that time. But let's get into it. Greetings! It is I swear. There's really no meaningful reason to doubt it. Director Arketer of Arketer Labs, as is typically the case. Greetings in chat. Again, Caleb Bishop, SnoopyS100, and K. Shull. Hopefully, one Metro will be turning up at some point, because I do intend on starting with their particular SCP file. That said, we have a game raffle going off this time as well, which I would heartily recommend you all to sign up for if you like side-scrolling slashers with horrific aesthetics and potentially some obnoxious philosophy. I'm not too sure. I didn't play the Blasphemous series myself, so I really don't have an opinion to offer on Blasphemous 2, but I'll be playing the trailer for it, and you can decide for yourselves if you want to sign up. You all know how it works, I'm sure. Greetings also, Geisha. We're starting with SCP-801031. Actually, no, to give Metro some time, I'm thinking we'll start with SCP-6990, which will be no small challenge, as it has lots of voice roles, and there's no one who will read voices with me anymore. It's fine, though. I don't need them. I don't need anyone. Item 6990, Containment Class Arketer, Disruption Class Stank, Risk Class Noise. I'm sorry, they can't get 4 classifications in this area. I'm not going to take these other classifications seriously either. Special Containment Procedures due to SCP-6990's widespread prevalence and mainstream influence, containment has been deemed unnecessary. Then why is there a containment file on it? Why are there files for containment procedures for things that there has been no containment? I'm very cranky. I'm going to toss out there right now. I have a bit of an ear infection, and it's made me dangerously short-tempered. Mostly because I've been robbed of a lot of sleep due to ear pressures and irritations. I could, in a worst-case scenario, absolutely snap someone's neck if I was in the immediate vicinity of someone who I'd really want to snap the neck of, and they were inclined to mouth off at the worst possible time. Fortunately, there's no one like that in my zip code, much less elsewhere. But still, I'm aware that my temper is that dangerously short. It'll be fine. Personnel at Site 1 have been assigned to observe the anomaly. Description: SCP-6990 is an ever-present concept within the collective human meme sphere. SCP-6990 describes the commonly known conspiracy theory in which pyramid structures within Egypt were constructed by or in conjunction with extraterrestrial life forms. Despite overwhelming scientific and logical evidence against said idea, the idea remains a common belief among certain groups of people. Theories regarding SCP-6990 often make illogical or pseudoscientific claims regarding the construction of the pyramids, including, but not limited to, the following: that the pyramids were built before humans inhabited the area they are in, that the wheel had not been invented yet, thus making transport of limestone blocks impossible, the line of longitude and line of latitude of the pyramids lie on the exact same value as one another, the front face of the pyramids faces magnetic north exactly, the three tops of the pyramids of Giza are aligned exactly under the three stars that make up the belt portion of the Rain constellation. Discovery: initially, SCP-6990 has been dismissed as a non-anomalous and widespread conspiracy theory. However, on 260921, the Foundation detected significant mimetic disturbance from within the pyramid of Khufu in Giza. An SCP-6990 research team, under the guise of Egyptologists from Cambridge University, conducting research for the institution, entered the pyramid with permission from the Egyptian government. A transcript of their investigation is attached below. Date: 290921. Date: time: 1620. Team lead: Dr. Omar Mohammed. Research members: Elizabeth Smith and Johan Ulfsson. Armed members: Alfred Zokas, Delicatessen Fern. Additional personnel: Nedjem, a cat. Apparently, Nedjem is slightly anomalous. The full extent of her abilities are currently undefined. However, the Foundation is currently aware of her apparent sapience and complete understanding of human speech and iconography. Research into the anomalous abilities of Nedjem are still underway. Okay, this is already feeling less like an SCP file and more like a pitch for a Saturday morning cartoon series. I am definitely feeling bitey. Well, 3 concurrent viewers, 5 likes. I shouldn't be complaining. Things are going quite well thus far. Begin log. Dr. Muhammad is seen moving into the entrance of the Khufu Pyramid. His research partners and guards are seen following closely behind. Muhammad, Smith, and Olofsson are all holding mimetic disturbance scanners, which they slowly wave around them. Muhammad: zoinks! As soon as you pick anything up, let me know immediately! Of course, Doctor. The team is seen descending towards the subterranean area of the pyramid, lit only by the flashlights of their headgear. Their devices beep in time with one another as they search for mimetic disturbance. In total silence, the team makes it to the bottom of the descending passageway and are now in front of a subterranean chamber. Dr. Olofsson points his scanner towards the escape shaft and the device beeps weakly. Got something towards the escape shaft? The team all turn towards the shaft and swiftly begin ascending it. They come to a slow crawl as they thoroughly scan the shaft for a signal. All their scanners begin to beep loud and rhythmically as they move forward. Dr. Smith then stops in her tracks in front of the left wall. Behind this wall. Smith knocks on the wall. A hollow echo brings back, "Yep, sounds like there's something behind it." Dr. Muhammad is seen touching his earpiece. Come on, this is Muhammad. We found the sealed chamber within the pyramid. Lots of magnetic disturbances from behind the wall sealing it. Permission to investigate further? Permission granted. Proceed with caution. Affirmative. Dr. Muhammad turns to his teammates and nods. Immediately they begin. Olofsson places a pet carrier down and releases an Abyssinian cat from within it. All right, Nedjem, time to do your magic. He picks up Nedjem and coddles her. Smith scoffs. You right, Nedjem? Why? Olofsson sets Nedjem down. Hey, Nedjem is an integral part of this team, even if she isn't swatting away any curses. There's no such thing as curses, you should know that. There's never been any curses. The concept of Egyptians sealing their tombs or some of things with curses has no basis in history and is instead an idea rooted in Victorian sensationalism. No. Nedjem stays. As Olsen and Smith argue like an old lesbian couple, Nejim is seen sneaking through a small cat-sized hole in the wall and into a chamber behind it. Fine. She's still good company to keep. Smith reaches down to pet Nejim, finding that she's no longer president. Where's Nejim? Olsen. Nejim, come back to Daddy. Smith and Olsen are seen looking away from around the escape shaft. Suddenly, the wall next to Smith makes a clinking noise before raising. Nejim is seen standing behind the newly opened chamber, cleaning herself. Moment. That's why we bring Nejim. Now let's move forward. The walls of the chamber are covered in hieroglyphs, which the team scrambles towards. The chamber contains no objects, however, the center of the room holds a bright yellow sphere. Ugh, nothing, just some generic stuff. Nothing here either. Nope. A small meow is heard. The team looks at Nejim, who is looking at another cat. The other cat, sitting in front of Nejim, is adorned with jewelry and gives her a cold stare. Nejim stares back. Who's that? Nejim, ask them what this chamber is. What? John, are you out of your mind? Why, it's worth a shot. Nejim meows the adorned cat. He meows back. They enter back and forth of meows. Ha! They're like people. And how do you know we're supposed to be getting an answer from Nejim, We'll figure something out. Quiet, both of you. I'm reading. Smith groans. Nejim and the adorned cat continue their conversation, ostensibly. Nejim then stops and bows her head toward the cat before turning to Olafson. Olafson picks her up and cuddles her. All right, my little darling, what have you got? Nejim meows at Olafson. Right. Okay, so maybe you had a point. Smith scoffs. Olafson. Look, we'll figure something out, all right? Mohammed steps up to Olafson and takes Nejim from him. He then places Nejim down and takes a large sheet of paper out from his bag. He places the paper in front of Nejim and begins drawing. When finished, he looks up at Nejim. On the paper, there are two drawings. One is of a light bulb above a head, and the other is the same drawing with the light bulb crossed out. Which one? Nejim places her paw on the drawing with the crossed out light bulb. Mohammed erases the drawings and begins to draw again. Smith stares in disbelief while Olsen smirks. Told you we'd find a way. Smith lightly punches Olsen in his right arm. Hey, what was that for? Man, I was right. Smith. You, just shut up. Smith pouts and crosses her arms. Olsen gives a resounding chuckle. The two then watch Mohammed and Nejim in silence for the next 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, Mohammed rolls the paper up and stands up. Nejim climbs onto his shoulder. I'm guessing they're a rather small cat. Or Mohammed's a big guy. Maybe a combination thereof. Moving on. All right, team. I've got an answer. So what is this? Is this the medic disturbance about? I asked Nejim 2 option questions where she picked what the correct option is. Mostly yes no questions. I managed to get some words and phrases out of her. By choosing between 2 pictures? Really? Olsen. Like as usual, I see. She gave me pyramid, origins, deceit, visitors, wealth, spending, economy, future, and human, and unusual builders. So we got to decipher that? Seems to be. The team begin thinking. They stare around the room as they do. Mohammed paces the chamber. Olafson. What? Did they hire some cats to build the pyramids and this orb thing prevents people from remembering that? No, Nejim would have said cat if she knew it was cats. Speaking of, where is that other cat? The team briefly scanned the room. There is no sign of the adorned cat. Guess we missed our chance for containment. Oh well, let's keep thinking. The team continues to pace the room. Olafson rereads the hieroglyphs of the walls. Olafson, maybe there's something here. I don't suppose the cannibal hymn would have anything to help do with this? cannibal hymn is apparently an ancient Egyptian hymn used in the Old Kingdom, used to symbolize the pharaoh becoming one with the gods. I sure hope not, Muhammad. It's really got me thinking of the phrases unhuman and unusual builders. What, has this got to do with that stupid ancient aliens theory? Muhammad pauses and stares. He appears to have an epiphany. No, don't tell me I was right. I think we have our answer. Please don't say aliens, please don't say aliens, please. No. Smith and Olsen let out a loud sigh. They wanted to make the pyramids seem supernatural in origin? Huh? I think I get it. What? The ancients must have lied about how the pyramids were built. They wanted to make its origins an enigma to outsiders. I believe so. What better way to do that than start a conspiracy theory about aliens building the pyramids? What, with this being a tomb to a pharaoh, it'd be fitting for it to have some sort of supernatural air to it. But that still doesn't explain this. Smith waves her arm towards the yellow orb. What's the big ball got to do with it? I'm not sure. Given its extremely high magnetic disturbance, it has to be some kind of vector for something. The team is silent for 10 seconds. I think I have an idea. This orb is perpetuating the conspiracy theory you mentioned. What? You mean this thing is putting ancient aliens theory into the collective meme-sphere or something? Perhaps Nejum did mention Rhys, so perhaps they challenged Rhys' power to do so, the result of which is the yellow orb we see in front of us. But why? What benefit I get from keeping the origins an enigma? Tourism. Right! Nejum mentioned lots of words to do with money. He also mentioned future and visitors. I think we're onto something. Aliens wanted to keep the origins a mystery from outsiders so that people would come and visit and investigate. They couldn't keep the whole thing a mystery from everyone, I presume, so they settled for a conspiracy theory. Playing the long game, eh? Muhammad touches his earpiece. Command, I believe we're ready to exit the premises. I'll be filing a full report on our findings when we back to the site. Permission to leave? Granted. Good work out there. Got it, thanks. Muhammad looks at his team. Well, time to go. We've got a lot of thinking to do. You don't have to say that again. Olsen reaches out for Nejum and kisses her. Oh, you were such a good girl today. He then places Nejum back in her carrier and closes it. All right, I'm ready. Following discovery of this correlation, the chamber was resealed with limestone. All major research institutions have been placed under gag orders not to reveal the discrepancy in age between the newly placed limestone and the surrounding limestone. The medics department performed further investigations into the theory presented by the research team and concluded they were correct. Investigations into other extant conspiracy theories and their presence in the meme sphere is undergoing. And that was SCP-6990. The next SCP has already been chosen as it was written just for presenting here. After which, though, requests are open. To comment on this particular SCP file, this has all the hallmarks of late-stage SCP wickiness, referring to things that require backstory to understand it all, not pertaining to any actual thing under containment. And perhaps the funniest twist is that recently, as it just happens, they've discovered massive chambers under the pyramids that couldn't possibly have been made by human hand, and there are apparently structures under the Pyramid of Giza that are so massive that if they were brought to the surface, they would quite dwarf the pyramids themselves. This is most notable as an SCP for being not as wild as the reality apparently is. And I might owe Jacob Chancellor, the Maga Shaman, a bit of an apology for marking the pyramids as just being so long-lived for just being massive piles of stones, which they still are, and they're not really the amazing part. What's amazing is what the hell is at the end of those very, very long tunnels. It would seem so. The holes of something or other. Well, they haven't gotten into it yet. I have a feeling they're going to have a hard time getting into it. As it is, they just mapped it with some very advanced sensor work. Amazing stuff. Oh yeah, there's a video I could direct you to right now. But this really isn't the stream for that. Although, Exodus, greetings by the way. That's why I chose the SCP file, because it seemed like a novel thing to touch upon. An SCP file that exists to anomalously reassure us that there's nothing anomalous about the pyramids. Okay, on to SCP-801031. This was, as I understand it, created by one Metro, as have all the ones that have been in this page form that I'm aware of, and they've been pretty good. I suspect this one will stand in some contrast to the previous. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-801031 is to be contained in cell block redacted at building redacted. SCP-801031 is required to be restrained by chains at all times, and at no point shall SCP-801031 be released. Security protocol shall be enforced for any personnel, which includes acknowledgement of the dangers that SCP-801031 possesses, and can also provide proof of receiving Arketer class safety training within the last 2 years. Description: 801031, also known as quote-unquote Evil Otto, has deceptive appearance and is described as a round smiley face. SCP-801031 was discovered on an abandoned alien space station located in redacted. Multiple incidents have been reported in which resulted large number of fatalities. SCP-801031 has been observed through multiple video surveillance footage showing SCP-801031 bouncing on the ground as if it were being repeatedly dribbled like a basketball. SCP-801031 will approach a target in a straight line while scaling walls and ceilings to get to its target. SCP-801031 was found to be indestructible and is highly advised to be kept away. It's highly advisable to be kept well away from 801031. SCP-801031 does not express any emotion other than happiness. As observed, SCP-801031 displays a smile while repeatedly hopping on top of its target. SCP-801031 can lose track of a target temporarily. However, SCP-801031 has been observed to be very persistent and will endlessly pursue its target. As of a redacted date, SCP-801031 has been contained in cell block redacted at building redacted and will remain contained indefinitely. As per protocol of SCP-801031, due to its high level of danger, an alert system has been installed throughout the building to alert personnel if an escape by SCP-801031 has occurred. This alert system will broadcast the following message: "Intruder alert! Intruder alert!" Although, that's a very strange thing for them to be broadcasting, as it's not an intruder at that point. It's a security breach. That said, finding this in an abandoned alien facility, again, so far, none of this really stands out very stark in contrast to the previous SCP file. Continued research is currently ongoing for SCP-801031, and as indicated by the document objective goals of exploring ways to communicate with SCP-801031. Currently, SCP-801031 does not communicate with any form of external stimuli, and as simply put by Dr. Ned Awful, quote unquote, it doesn't give a fuck. I have to say, I do like these paper presentations quite a lot. They are kind of glossing over again the fact that Evil Otto here, and who named Evil Otto might have been a nice footnote, was found in an alien station. Then again, that really is no stranger than finding a glowing ball influencing the memosphere by Team Diversity Squad and their super intelligent talking cat. Or the cat their cat talked to, who appeared and disappeared, with the entire security team failing to notice when anyone goes anywhere or anything actually happens. That was a Saturday cartoon episode. But again, I might be just a bit sharp. Okay, that is all the SCPs I had scheduled for this particular stream. We are not quite halfway through, so now's an excellent time to make an SCP file request, should you wish one. Meanwhile, there's a game to raffle.
Peggy 16.
Exits. The one we trail is searching for something very old. Something sacred. He heads to a destination close in distance, but distant in essence. My faith is unbreakable. No matter the questions that assail me, nor the doubts that haunt me. Could it be the fate of the silent penitent one intertwines with my own?
SB7965 coming up next. If this game should appeal to you, humble viewer, that's not the way to put it. I am definitely not 100%. But I'm fine. We'll be fine. It's going to be fine. If that game should appeal to you, please let me know in chat, and I will put it in for the raffle. Whoever puts his name in now is potentially going to get it just by default. But I'll still roll the number because that's what I do. Upcoming SCP-7965. Oh, and if there's anyone who hasn't attended one of these streams before, please do say hi. I do so like to see new names. SCP-7965, Object Class, Uncontained? Why are there contained procedures for uncontained things? Special containment procedures for the uncontained things are as follows. As SCP-7965 has continued unimpeded for 18 cycles and has not yet posed a threat to the Veil, the anomalous world, or any factions therein, alongside its continued observation by the Global Occult Coalition, no resources are currently dedicated to containing SCP-7965. And greetings in chat. Snuggles. Glad you could make it. So nice to see another name in chat. Here we read SCP files, and I try not to lose my temper. On this particular stream, it's typically easier not to lose my temper, but today is apparently a special day. Okie dokie. The pocket dimension housing the SCP-7965 event is likewise guarded from the public by the Global Occult Coalition. Description: SCP-7965 is a bidecennial event which began on April 22nd, 1890, during which physical manifestations of popular soda brands compete in a death match, the outcome of which influences the popularity of said beverages for the following 5 years. The event itself takes place within a pocket dimension in Wisconsin, USA, and always consists of 8 participating members, while changes occasionally do occur among the roster. The most common members are the following: John Coke, John Pepsi, Mauritia Pepper, Sir Spriticus, Montague Dew, Serenity Fanta, Reverend Root, and Sol Kissinger. As of 1975, all 18 SCP-795 events have been won solely by John Coke. Readings in chat. K70. Addendum 79651. SCP-6965's 19th cycle. On 4/22/1985, SCP-7965's pocket dimension reportedly manifested as usual with the standard 8 members present. The following document was provided by the Global Occult Coalition following the events of Addendum 79652. Occurrence 1 T0. 7965's pocket dimension manifests. This cycle, the arena is a 16-kilometer squared area comprised most entirely of forest regions, interspersed only by clearings, ponds, streams, and a giant structure at the center, the likes of which is closed off by giant gates. All 8 contestants also manifest as usual, each presumably apportating was intended, apportating along the border of the area equidistant from one another is how it is. Occurrence 2, T31. Throughout the first half of an hour, whilst surveying and exploring the surroundings, 5 contestants find and open hidden loot caches. The contents each content acquired from such discoveries are as follows. John Coke acquires a quarterstaff and a better than a punch soda. So Spriticus acquires a tomb of fizziness. Montague Dew acquires an obsidian shortblade along with a bombardier blast. Serenity Fanta acquires a bow and 17 arrows. Reverend Root acquires 3 containment traps along with a switchblade. Occurrence 3. Reverend Root places and activates 2 of the 3 containment traps in the western area of the arena and proceeds to hide in a nearby bush. Occurrence 4. Serenity Fanta spots Sol Kissinger and immediately takes aim, firing a total of 9 arrows at them in quick succession. Only 1 manages to graze their arm, while the remainders miss, and Sol quickly flees further into the forest. Serenity retrieves 3 unbroken arrows, but makes no further attempt to pursue Sol at this time. Occurrence 5. John Pepsi and Mauritia Pepper encounter one another at a pond in the northwest region of the arena. While Mauritia is unarmed, John makes no attempts to assail her, instead choosing to offer a brief alliance. Mauritia accepts his offer, and the two sit by the pond and exchange small talk. Occurrence 6. Sir Spriticus casts the spell "From sky to ground by fizz be bound," the likes of which immediately reveals the current location of the closest contestant. As such, a stream of fizz begins rising in the distance, alerting Spriticus to Montague Dew's location about 500 or 600 meters south. He then casts the spell, "Papa Cap, take a sip, protect my body from a hit," causing a defensive barrier to form across his body before beginning his trek towards Montague, which seems a bit premature. Those don't usually last forever. But I should have cast that closer to the fight. Occurrence 7. For the first time in 19 cycles, John Coke steps in a trap, causing it to activate and immediately incapacitate him through the use of thaumaturgically summoned bindings. This causes him to fall prone on the forest floor, following which Reverend Root emerges from his hiding spot wielding a switchblade. However, rather than immediately finishing John off, he instead begins the following monologue. "It is by Sullivan Soda's divine grace that I've been blessed to capture this day. Time after time, battle after battle, you have evaded justice and due punishment. You have cheated and slighted, slain and tortured, all just to further yourself. Yet it is your greed for lust and power that sees you before me now. I have been selected by our divine goddess to be your judge, your jury, and to be your executioner. And you are guilty beyond even an unreasonable doubt. It is with great pleasure that I shall take up my blade against you, and through wielding it I shall... The remaining several minutes have been omitted for brevity and can be divided on inquiry. Occurrence 8. John, Pepsi, and Marisha Pepper conclude the conversation and begin to part ways, though not before the following brief exchange occurs. Marisha. This word wasn't meant for pacifism. John. Aye. No. Marisha begins making her way east, while John heads south. Occurrence 9. Sol Kissinger is about to open a loot cache when they are suddenly ambushed by Montague Dew, who stabs them twice in the back before the obsidian blade shatters due to its brittleness. Sol reacts quickly, spinning on their heels before backhanding Montague. He stumbles backwards, given no time to react as Sol tackles him to the ground, before beginning to relentlessly beat his head into the ground. Sol gets in 16 strikes before Montague manages to slam their knee into Sol's back wounds, creating an opening that allows Montague to roll them both over before he starts relentlessly choking them. Sol struggles aimlessly, scratching at the ground rather than before eventually falling limp. A loud popping sound then emanates from the entire area, notifying all contestants that someone has been slain. Contestants remaining: John Coke, John Pepsi, Marisha Pepper, Sir Spriticus, Montague Dew, Serenity Fanta, and Reverend Root. Well, thus far at this point in the conflict, I am entirely backing Montague Dew. Occurrence 10. Reverend Root concludes his monologue, throughout which John Coke has remained absolutely silent. Reverend then asks if John has any final words, to which he simply says, "Behind you," before Reverend is suddenly struck in the back of the head, causing him to crumble to the ground unconscious. John Pepsi, who had struck Reverend with his quarterstaff, confiscates the last remaining containment trap, along with his switchblade, before making his way over to the still restrained John Coke. Despite having been killed by Coke 12 times at this point, he still begins to cut him free, which prompts the following conversation. "So you'll hurt someone to save another? You'll both still be alive, that's my pacifism. And what stops me from killing him the moment you cut me free? From killing you? Nothing. Yet you'll cut me free regardless? That is my way in this world. If you see me dead for it, so be it." Pepsi finishes cutting Cook free before handing them the switchblade. "Do as you will." John Pepsi leaves the now unrestrained John Coke and Reverend Root behind as he begins to make his way east. After half a minute passes, Coke looks to Reverend, lets out a slow sigh, and begins to follow after Pepsi. Occurrence 11. Marisha Pepper discovers a hidden loot cache containing a hunting rifle, 4 rounds of ammunition, and a summoning soda named Ferocious Fizz. Occurrence 12. Serenity Fanta comes across the unconscious body of Reverend Root, who she prepares to finish off before stepping in his other still active trap, entirely restraining her. Womp womp. Occurrence 13. Sir Spriticus reaches Montague Dew, who is still resting, recovering from his encounter with Sol Kissinger. Attempting to seize the moment, Sir Spriticus begins casting the spell, "Splinter, Thresh, and Shatter Bone, O sparkling water, carry this corpse home!" He is interrupted, however, when a bullet suddenly strikes him, shattering his defensive barrier and causing the spell to fizzle out. Spriticus immediately moves to hide behind a tree, but only manages to do so as another bullet strikes his leg. Montague, now very aware of the 2 battling contestants, attempts to flee, only to catch a bullet in the shoulder that sends him tumbling to the ground. Marisha Pepper then fires a final round of ammunition directly through his eye, eliminating him. A popping sound fills the arena, alerting contestants to the match's second death. And here I was, cheering for Montague Dew. Well, my dog's out of this fight. Contestants remaining: John Coke, John Pepsi, Mauritia Pepper, Sir Spriticus, Bonteg Dew, and Reverend Root. Occurrence 14. Sir Spriticus casts the spell, "Free as a babble, quick as a fizz, bring me somewhere that isn't this," causing him to teleport to a random point in the arena. Occurrence 15. John Coke and John Pepsi, having heard the elimination pop, exchange the following words. "Another falls. That leaves 6 alive. And 2 fallen, yes. It is the nature of the game to kill. It is the nature of ourselves. The nature of yourselves. Violence is not a path I'd willingly walk. Surely you can't hold on to those golden ideals forever? What about 5 games from now? 10? 50? No one's values are that unshakable. You have killed me 12 times, John, yet I chose not to seize my chance to return the favour. Perhaps someday I will falter and lose my way, succumb to this world's vicious cycle of violence and death. But not yet. Not today. Then you will die, over and over. And when I do, I will die true to myself. Can you say the same, John?" I'm looking forward to Pepsi dying at this point. Occurrence 16. Reverend Root finally regains consciousness and discovers the now restrained Serenity Fanta still struggling to break free. He curses before taking one of the arrows off of Serenity's person before stabbing it through her head, killing them instantly. He proceeds to take her bow and 10 remaining arrows. A popping sound then fills the arena, alerting contestants of the match's their death. Remaining contestants are John Coke, John Pepsi, Mauritia Pepper, Sir Spriticus, and Reverend Root. Occurrence 17. John Pepsi uncovers a hidden loot cache containing a revolver, 6 rounds of ammunition, and pain relief rum. Pepsi pockets the rum, but offers the revolver and its ammo to John Coke, who accepts it with a quiet thank you. Pepsi seems to smile, but does not otherwise acknowledge the gesture. Elsewhere, Mauritia Pepper also locates a hidden loot cache containing gauze and a machete. Occurrence 18. As is the case with all SCP-7965 death matches, a giant siren fills the sky and a beacon appears at the center of the arena, marking the opening of the central structure of the arena. The structure's 4 gates also open at this time. An announcement is voiced noting that the land outside of the central structure will be destroyed within the next 15 minutes. Occurrence 19. John Coke and John Pepsi begin to approach the center structure's western entrance when a volley of arrows suddenly begin flying from the trees behind them. 6 of the arrows strike the area around the two. However, one manages to catch Pepsi in his shoulder blade, and another strikes Coke's calf. Despite this, Coke manages to limp behind some semblance cover. However, in doing so, he leaves Pepsi in the middle of the clearing. Pepsi, who had collapses from the impact of the first arrow, attempts to rise before another arrow strikes him in the hip, sending him to the ground again. Reverend Root finally emerges from the tree line at this point, knocking his final arrow as he approaches Pepsi, spouting the following. "In the end, you sinners are all the same, coarse-hearted and cold. All you care about is perpetuating sin and anarchy and pain and tyranny. I had thought you different, John. I really did. But it seems even you have grown tainted and dark. I can only pray that this element soda cleanses your heart. Consider this a service." Reverend Root is cut short by John Coke shooting him in the head, and everyone applauds. A popping sound is then fills the area, alerting contestants to the match's 4th death. Remaining contestants, John Coke, John Pepsi, Mauritia Pepper, and Sir Spriticus. Occurrence 20. John Coke returns to John Pepsi, and they help each other remove the arrows that had struck them. Despite having no proper medical supplies, they fashion bandages out of their shirts, primarily the sleeves, and decide not to use the better-than-punch soda, nor the pain relief rum, as they are both used to such wounds this many cycles in, and know they are relatively non-fatal. They then, using each other to stabilize one another, walk into the central structure while having the following words. I didn't think you were capable of saving a life. Someone still died. But you shot them to protect me. Those kind of even out, I think. Shut up! Oh, no need to act so stoic about it. I'm proud of you. Pepsi pats Coke on the back, causing Coke to stare daggers at him. Keep your damn mouth shut. You know, the old John Coke would have never saved. You say another word, and this John Coke will put a bullet through your job. John Pepsi motions at keeping his mouth closed before throwing away the zipper. That's. You are insufferable. Occurrence 21. Sir Spriticus, realizing that he would not be able to reach the center structure of the arena within 15-minute allowance, begins to casting one final spell from the Tomb of Fizziness. Occurrence 22. Marisha Pepper enters the central structure from the eastern entrance. Noticing this, John Coke immediately raises a revolver, taking aim upon Marisha. John Pepsi grabs his arm to keep him from pulling trigger. However, the following is a transcript of the ensuing encounter. She hasn't done anything yet, John. We can be better than this. There is no we here, Pepsi. If you're not going to help, get out of the way! Maybe he's right, Coke. Maybe we can be better than this. Behind her back, Marisha begins slowly opening her ferocious fizz, summoning soda. Doesn't the bloodshed get exhausting? That's rich coming from you, Pepper. Your hands are as bloody as my own, and I've crossed blades and blows with you enough to know that you are unwavering in your bloodlust. John cocks back the hammer's revolver, keeping it pointed directly at Marisha. Pepsi. John, please, don't. Shut it. Come on, just give me a chance to talk her down. For the love of Sylvant, will you just be... The sound of a soda opening is heard across the arena as Marisha finishes opening the summoning soda before throwing the bottle at the pair. Coke quickly returns his attention to Marisha, firing 2 shots in direction as the soda can breaks apart midair, and a wolf made entirely of soda manifests before them. Greetings, Metro. I didn't cancel. I was just saying Skill and Crabbing therefore wouldn't be on camera directly, which I'm not. And I will be getting rest when this is over. Which is not, but it will be. You might want to go back a bit, Metro. We have already covered your piece. At least the record of this one will remain. Moving on. Where were we? Oh, yes. A wolf made entirely of soda. The wolf immediately charges at Pepsi, who throws up his quarterstaff in an effort to guard against the canine's unrelenting bites. This proves only partially successful, as it quickly bites its way through the staff, breaking it in half. Before biting hard into Pepsi's shoulder, he lets out a scream of anguish before slamming one of the staff's halves hard into the wolf's eye, forcing it to release its grip before using its other half to clock it hard inside, which doesn't really make a lot of sense when it's a wolf entirely made out of soda. So basically, he gets attacked by soda that bites through his staff and uses half of his staff to stab soda. Coke, having heard Pepsi scream, turns and fires a shot into the soda, causing it to demanifest in a flurry of soda. The bubbles don't immediately dissipate, though, and instead begin filling the area around the two. Marisha, using their brief blindness to the fizz fog, begins dead sprinting at Coke with a machete in hand, reaching him just as the bubbles begin to dissipate. Coke reacts as quickly as possible, barely evading Marisha's strike. She pivots quickly, slashing for his chest, though he maneuvers, forcing his shoulder to bear the brunt of the strike as he fires off a round into her stomach. She feigns collapse, dropping her blade as she slams her shoulder hard into his chest before using momentum to flip him over her back. Coke hits the ground hard, causing him to drop his gun, which Marisha quickly kicks away. She bears down on him with her fist, striking him over and over again, with him barely deflecting them with his arms. She's relentless in her strikes, cracking his jaw, breaking his nose, bludgeoning his eyes and neck and chest, anywhere else she can lay a hand on. Pepsi appears behind Marisha, wrapping his arms around her in an attempt to yank her off Coke. He is partially successful, pulling her about 2 feet back before she slams her elbow right into Pepsi's nose, breaking it and forcing him to release his grasp on her. Nonetheless, it provides Coke with enough of an opening to regain some footing, allowing him to dodge her wide swing before countering with his own to her gut. The two end up in a back-and-forth exchange of blows. Coke jabs her ribs. Presumably ribs. Coke jabs her ribs. Marisha catches his jaw. Coke trips to the ground. Marisha twists and plants a firm kick in his check. His check got a kicking. Back and forth, fist to fist, after flurry of blows is exchanged. For moments, Coke is overpowering Marisha, then Marisha Coke over and over again, and bullet cycle that sees both go from steady and confident to beaten and shaken. Both stand at odds over one another, each on the verge of collapse. Coke plants his feet, Marisha steals her body. He goes for a wide hook, she moves to block, he feigns, instead goes for a hard uppercut. But she catches it still before hitting him as hard as possible in the neck. Then again and again until his knees give out and he falls to the ground. She stands, towering above him, smirking, and then the ground erupts beneath her feet and dozens of explosions detonate within the central chamber. Occurrence 23. Sir Spriticus finishes casting his spell, just as the 15-minute mark is reached. He smiles and watches as the area around him is swallowed in a wave of blinding light, destroying everything in its path, and killing him instantly. A popping sound then fills the arena, alerting contestants to the match's 5th death. Contestants remaining: John Coke, John Pepsi, and Marisha Pepper. Occurrence 24. As the dust settles from the detonations caused by Sir Spriticus' spell, John Pepsi rises. Immediately he notices Marisha Pepper laying in the midst of the rubble, who he quickly makes his way over to. Her wounds are severe. Both of her legs are completely lost, and the remainder of her body is torn by shrapnel and thaumaturgic burns. He grabs her hand, holding it as he softly says, "I'm sorry." She coughs, and he pours the pain relief rum onto her wounds to ease her suffering. She stares at him all the while before weakly smiling and closing her eyes. A popping sound then fills the arena, alerting contestants to the match's 6th death. Contestants remaining: John Coke and John Pepsi. Occurrence 25. John Pepsi suddenly hears a distant bout of coughing and quickly makes his way over to a still conscious John Coke. He quickly takes Coke's hand and helps him sit up. Unlike Marisha's wounds, Coke only sustained a few thaumaturgic burns, although his stomach was speared through by a large piece of stone shrapnel. The following conversation ensues. "Stick with me, John. You'll be all right." "You still here, Pep?" "Right by your side, John. I'm here." John Coke coughs up, blood drips from his chin. "And Marisha?" Pepsi shakes his head. "It's just us then, huh?" "Just you and me, John. Here." Pepsi pulls out his better-in-a-punch pop and offers it to Coke, who takes it slowly. "And you won't finish me off, will you?" Coke opens the pop. "Never." Coke raises the healing soda to his lips before pausing. "That means I'll have to." "It's okay. I won't hold it against you. It's just your nature." "I did say that, didn't I?" Coke proceeds to pour the entirety of the soda onto the ground before dropping the can onto the now destroyed arena floor. Why would you?" "Just be quiet and win once for me, Pep. For me." "Okay, John. I will. Cope closes his eyes and whispers, "Thank you," before resting his head on Pepsi's shoulder. After 3 minutes, a popping sound fills the arena. Contestants remaining, John Pepsi. Occurrence 26. John Pepsi is declared winner of the 19th SCP-7965 event. In the following minute, the entirety of the arena manifests along with its pocket dimension. Addendum 79652. On April 23rd, 1985, directly following the conclusion of SCP-7965's 19th event, the Coca-Cola Company released New Coke. Due to the outrage that followed, both within the anomalous and non-anomalous worlds, the SP Foundation is currently working with the Global Cult Coalition to devise a new containment procedure to ensure John Coke wins all future SCP-7965 events. Of course, as that was in 1985, I'm thinking we can rest assured that in subsequent instances, Montag do one. But you're welcome to disagree and be wrong. Certainly, Marisha Pepper hasn't won one of these yet. Which makes me sad, because that's my personal favorite. Or was. We're at 10 likes and 8 current viewers, which means it's over 100% approval rating, and I should be happy with that. We have 8 minutes remaining. I would like to remind everyone that we are raffling off a game as provided by One Exodus, who has been so kind as gracious in chat. Blasphemous 2, I'm going to play the trailer again now. And thank you for your request, K. Shaw. That SP file was silly as hell. Really deserved to be a J file. Still quite good otherwise. And yeah, I can see why they would want John Coke to win from that point on.
Peggy 16.
The one we trail is searching for something very old. Something sacred. He heads to a destination close in distance, but distant in essence. My faith is unbreakable. No matter the questions that assail me, nor the doubts that haunt me. Could it be the fate of the silent penitent one intertwines with my own?
Alright, Next Hunter is in the raffle. And as they are the only one in the raffle at present, it looks like Next Hunter is about to get this game, which I have to say has an excellent art style, as his predecessor did as well. It's somewhat, how should I put this? Impermeable lore there has always chafed me, as has the incredibly silly helmets that the protagonist of this game and the previous wear alongside other characters. Also, the sheer logistics of having that many giant nuns is staggering. Like, were they originally regular sized nuns that were then they cast some sort of spell to make them giant nuns? Or did the world just have an excess of lonely giant women and then someone convinced them all to become nuns? Art style, very nice once again. Highly recommend it for that alone. I think you'll enjoy playing through it Nexus if you do enjoy these side-scrolling fighters. I just kept on thinking in that cave scene that he should have gotten stuck in the ceiling at some point. If you're fighting in a cave wearing that helmet, I would expect you to be dangling by your neck when you get lodged in the ceiling. Yeah, I'm definitely in a feisty mood still. Angry. Irrationally so. It's no one's fault here. Not the creators of Blasphemous 2. None of you did this. I just want you to know that. And I'll be fine. I just have a slight desire to grab someone I hate and then beat someone else I hate even more to death with them. Which isn't going to happen. There's no one meeting either's criteria again in my zip code. Or I probably shouldn't say country. That's too wide a range to toss out there. No one on the moon, to be sure. But maybe I should take some time to play a few rounds of Reaper after this. For the sole express purpose of taking Ocarina and then beating a frog chef to death with it, because that's such a relief every time. I don't know if any of you have seen the Repo livestream. Some of you, actually, I do know that you have. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to do it again anytime soon, but I do think the game has tremendous potential. And pro tip, number one recommendation, if you play Repo, take an Ocarina, small doll, some knickknack that you don't necessarily need to cash in, and then use it to beat a frog chef to death. It's profoundly satisfying. Okay. Well, we are just about done here with 3 minutes remaining. It's time to determine who won the game. Nexus Hunter has won the game with a roll of 58. Congratulations, Nexus Hunter. We have 2 minutes remaining. And thank you. I hope to be getting well soon as well. Been sort of combination irritation as of late. Infection. An ongoing mysterious allergic reaction that has me looking a bit like an inverted leopard. And all this, of course, leading into very, 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 very short temper. Which is happily not really on not much danger being heavily tested. And I'll be fine by next Wednesday or so. Probably. Until next time, so long as progress continues, success is inevitable. Ostensibly. Oh, and before I go, you might want to look into that whole massive superstructure under the pyramids thing. You could do a YouTube search for that right now. They used sensors, they detected it. There's some really weird shit in Egypt. Oh boy. I'll see if I can't address that in greater depth tomorrow, because I do fear I might actually owe Jacob Chansley an apology. He doesn't give me the time of day, so he'll never hear it. But if he did, I would offer one. Cheers! Quite possibly, Kaylis. Quite possibly, or highly advanced TV culture that has been cultural memory. These things are.